banks zenye ziko huko Westlands and posh places, place niko sure nitatoka hapo na pesa mzuri. That's what the government is doing. The government inaweka pesa, inatuwekea pesa kwa mfuko ndio ituibie, kwa sababu the deficit was there, it was kidogo, na wangejaribu kuiba, some development projects hazingeendelea na pia mishahara ingelipwa. So through that balance audit inaonyesha tu simply the government ilienda kuborrow excess 7.7 trillion more than 1.3 trillion. Kwa sababu gani? Kwa sababu inataka iwekee pesa kwa mfuko iwaibie. And through those Kenya Wajingi ameelezea, ukiangalia through just the first year in 2014 the government had already initiated plans so that in those plans walikuwa washa claim an odious debt of 0.7 trillion. Na hiyo unaangalia ni the Eurobond of 2014 peke yake. Ukiangalia Eurobond of 2014 peke yake na the SGR deal, ukichanganya hizo zote mbili, zote zinaend up to almost 0.7 trillion. And how can we curb these loopholes? If you want to get more details about how the Eurobond, niko na thread na nimeweka hapo kwa charts, utaangalia there is a thread about public debt scrutiny yenye inaongelea kuhusu Eurobond, na kuna thread nyingine ambayo inaongelea SGR. You can see from those threads there. So on another thing that we'll need to curb loopholes pia ni corruption. Corruption through...
Okay.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible, but you need to go straight to the point.
In corruption, pia there's threads about corruption, especially on budgeted corruption. In this sense, Wajingi ashatuelezea more about public debt wherever we are, penye tuko. I'll give an example of budgeted corruption yenye ime happen. I have another thread on budgeted corruption about national government, but let's see this an example of roads project. For example, in 2013 to 2017 the Jubilee government increased roads by 5,800 kilometers during that period. Now during that period it spent 614 billion on roads. That was 60% more than the Kibaki government yenye ilikuwa imetumia 376 billion. Ukikuja, the average cost per kilometer the Jubilee government used was 96 million per kilometer. But ukiangalia what the other government used, previous government used was 51 million per kilometer. That's a very big margin and increase. Na kwa nini hiyo margin inaonekana kuincrease hapo? Ukikuja 5 years later, utapata 9 roads zenye zilijengwa zilikuwa zinatumia 300 million per kilometer. And these roads accounted for 20% of the portfolio of the roads that were built during that period. Na only 3% by volume. Notable roads zenye zilijengwa na hiyo amount ni hiyo Jamasara to Kisumu Airport na Mombasa Southeastern Bypass. Especially the Mombasa Southeastern Bypass was built by 1,155 per kilometer. Na the previous government ilikuwa imebuild na per kilometer utapata hapo ni 30 million per something of that sort. So the government inaweka projects at a higher cost so that so long as hii kitu inaenda itapitishwa kwa appropriations bill, hakuna kitu tunaweza fanya government not to steal. So in my own view, what I think is, but you can go, niko na thread about budgeted corruption on roads. You can check on those details. Iko na more details na ni iko kwa charts, na kuna another thread on budgeted corruption on electricity. Iko na more details on how the government ina make sure inatumia loophole. Should I say a loophole ama ina abuse whatever? So long as washa budget kwa appropriations bill, whatever they'll steal from there ni wao. So what are the solutions that we can stop such things? In my case, as conversing with other Gen Z, we realize that we can't trust the government right now. At the same sense, we can't even trust the judicial system. Juu government bado inalipa the judicial system. So regardless of the president ama the regime in place, watakuwa wanalipa judicial system. Na ukiangalia hata EACC, we can't even trust EACC. Nilikuwa naangalia a certain meme ilikuwa inatembea ati after 2000 cases, only 20 cases, less than 20 cases ndio zimekuwa prosecuted na zika go through. Na that's a very that's a massive failure rate. So as Gen Z, we can never trust these judicial, we can never trust EACC, na pia tuwezi trust the wabunge. For example, during this current financial year, the parliament approved only 313 to come from external loans, but ukiangalia kwa budget yenye wamepitisha kwa appropriations bill pale, wanasema aje, wanataka external loans ikuwe almost 850 somewhere there. Maximum imeongezeka ya almost 500. Hiyo yote imeombwa unconstitutional. Na the same thing it happened ukiangalia from 2013 to 2022. Uhuru did, 2013 to 2022, yeah. Uhuru did the same thing. Amekuwa approved 4 trillion and anaenda kuborrow 7.7 trillion. These are loopholes they'll continue to use. And if set up policies that are inscribed in the constitution, hawataacha regardless of the president or the regime in place or the members of parliament in place. So in my own view, I think we can have a Bitcoin, a blockchain system. A blockchain system, let me break it down simply so that people can understand how can a blockchain system help us. For example, let's assume umekuja kununua nyumba, let's say umekuja town, no, ama you are in Thika Road and you're looking for a house, na umepata Roysambu, I'm there, umenipata mimi ndio nauza nyumba. I give you a folder. In that folder, wiki open page 1, unaona 2001 this house was built. Ukifungua next folder unaona 2002 kulikuwa na renovation ya mabati and what not. 2003, but ukiangalia nyumba unaona hii nyumba ilijengwa na ile bricks ama mawe zile zilikuwa zinatumika na wazungu, the British by that then. Hauwezi trust my folder. So blockchain simply is what can I say? Is simply a diary in this sense. Kama nauza hii nyumba, so nyumba zote zenye ziko hapa tunaweka na diary, na sio mimi peke yake. It's a distributed ledger in that mimi na watu wote wanaishi kwa hii kijiji tuko na hii diary, na any renovation I make kwa hii nyumba na keep kwa hii diary. So mtu mwenye anakuja kununua hii nyumba akiangalia diary yangu anaenda kuconfirm with another diaries from other people. That's what blockchain does. Inakuwa distributed ledger from very many people. In case my diary has information that other diaries zenye zimerecord all those transactions haiko hapo, that means my diary iko compromised. So my diary itatupwa kwa system, itatupwa kwa hiyo chain. Zile blockchain zenye zina diary zina entries zenye zinafanana, they'll still remain in the empty chain. So in short, how can blockchain help us? For once, hata kama President Ruto amefukuza the cabinet secretaries, we as Gen Z, we don't trust that ati Ruto atakuja back appoint other cabinet secretary based on competence. Hatuko sure, maybe appoint bado on political loyalty or that. But for example, through blockchain voting, tunaweza amua kukuwe na certain threshold ya watu fulani kwa kila county ama kila constituency, wapige kura through blockchain voting so that to approve hiyo sisi wananchi tugeuze power ikuwe power, we bring back power to us as citizen, so that sisi citizen tupige kura through blockchain voting. Haitaitisha pesa mingi ya IBC ku hold elections. It's just a blockchain voting. So long as uko na phone ama laptop, utapigia, tuta approve that CS. Another thing, loan approval.
Please, wind up.
Na blockchain voting wakati anytime the government wants to take loan. For example, penye nilikuwa nimesema kama Ruto alikuwa ameapproviwa na government only 313 loans, kama alikuwa ameapprove only 313 billion na anaenda pana kwa budget anasema nataka 870 billion, hiyo ingine 500 ni extra. But kukiwa na blockchain voting tuta make sure so long as una loan the Kenyan government, kama utaenda against the constitution ni shauri yako, hiyo deni hatutalipa. Na kwa constitution tushaweka kutakuwa na blockchain voting yenye kama president yoyote mwenye yuko in place, si wa leo ama wa kesho, tutavote. Kama hiyo wananchi wana approve hiyo deni, sawa, atapewa. Kama wananchi hawa approve hiyo deni, hatapewa. Another thing yenye tunafaa tuvotie on through that blockchain voting, loan usage. Hiyo loan itumike wapi?
Okay, thank you. Thank
you very much. Let us go to the next. Did you finish, Jack? Did you get your internet? Did Jack get his internet back? Jack, did you get your internet back? As we wait for Jack to finish what he was saying, where is Chwani? Where is Chwani? He's nowhere to be found. He's nowhere to be found.
Yeah.
Mahanu, yeah. Mahanu can go on.
Okay. Thank you, Eric. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can go on.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. My name is Titus Mahanu. I am I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. I practice here in Nairobi for over 10 years now. I have been working in my own small way to try and dismantle these cartels that are tearing down our country. I've been doing my bit, especially on issues that concern KEMSA, because I'm one of the service providers there. In fact, on the 22nd of this month, we have a huge case that involves the chairman and some part of the management that are demanding a bribe of 15 million from me before they can approve payment of the services that we rendered. A while ago, I saw the story being shared on Twitter, and I'd like to invite all Kenyans from all walks of life to keep on monitoring this. So back to the issue that concerns what we're discussing about. I'm going to talk about three issues. Number one, the Finland scandal. I've heard about the cries that the lady from Wasingishu is talking about. I understand that there is a criminal case that is going on, but we all need to understand that a criminal case will never lead to refund of that money. The most that is likely to happen is that those people that were involved, as well as the county government, are going to be found guilty, convicted, or probably ordered to pay a fine. But still, the money that was lost it is highly unlikely that the money is going to be refunded. So what needs to be done, because Eric and the viewers are asking that the real action that needs to be done at this particular moment is we need to put our heads together and file a recovery suit against the county government of Wasingishu, as well as Senator Mandago and all those scoundrels that were involved in this heist. So that is point number one. I'm also going to talk about, and perhaps we can get in touch with Eric and Cyprian so that we can put up a legal team. I am willing to be part and parcel of that legal team. I can see my senior Willis is here, and we can work through on this issue so that we can help those people that have suffered in Wasingishu. Number two, I'm going to talk about the public debt, and I'm going to pick it up from where Jimmy left. The state is so deplorable that we need to action this. What we need to understand is that all judicial authority in our country belongs to the people. And the same way the Gen Zs have come up and they have forced the withdrawal of the finance bill, the people in this country can also come up and demand that the judiciary must exercise the judicial authority in a manner that is in line with the Constitution. I believe that systems are always designed to deliver results. So when you see a system like the judiciary failing to deliver results, that means someone is tampering with the system to make it work that way for their own selfish gains. So we need to start demanding that the judiciary must rise up to the occasion and conclude these cases. In order to assess this issue of the public debt, I suggest that we need also to put up our heads together and perhaps file a composite suit, because the Constitution allows us to seek declaratory orders, to seek stay orders, to such an extent that we put to halt the payment of this debt to allow for a forensic audit so that we can really understand how did we get ourselves to this point.
Okay,
How did
so
this
just on, you said it is possible to put a suit as as citizens. We can fundraise and fundraise and put a suit.
Absolutely, Eric. Under the Constitution, Article 23,
yes,
Kenyans can put up a petition and file it in the High Court and seek declaratory orders of any nature. Declaratory orders in the nature that this public debt has become a public problem and we need a forensic order, a forensic audit. Stay orders can be granted. And I have also heard Jimmy saying that there are lawyers who are doing pro bono cases in foreign jurisdictions. We have what we call, in law, we have something called extradition proceedings. We can get orders in our courts and register in those countries that concerns these fellas who have put up these debts against us for purposes of also getting stay orders from those countries. So this legal process is a very strong weapon that we can use at this particular moment. And I can tell you, we can get stay orders at this point. Remember, the issue of the public debt arises from the law of contract. And under the law of contract, we have several doctrines that can assist us in the circumstances. We have the doctrine of privity of contract, which provides clearly that if you are not part and parcel of a contract or a liability that is arising from a contract, then you are not liable to pay for it. In a country setup, before a government can borrow money, they need to get authority and consent from the citizens. Now, citizens give the authority to governments to borrow money through parliamentary approval. Just like in a situation of a company, before the directors and shareholders can act on behalf of a company, they must get authority from the company shareholders under seal. So similarly, even in a country, before a government can borrow, it must demonstrate that it got approval from the citizens. So we citizens can invoke the doctrine of privity to contract, and on that basis get stay orders to halt the payment of these public debt pending a forensic audit to ascertain exactly what happened. Of course, the other doctrine that will help us is the doctrine of ex tupi, whereby if an act arises from an illegality, there is no way if you are part and parcel of that illegality, you may want to benefit from it. So IMF, the Paris group, the London group, the Chinese, and the Eurobond, how it's being manipulated, cannot purport to benefit from this illegality if for sure it has been demonstrated that the manner in which these debts came to be is not according to what is contemplated in our laws. And almost as I conclude, the doctrine of estoppel can also come in and assist us in prosecuting this case. So, as we think about the way forward, we need, of course, as citizens, to start asking questions about disclosure of the contracts that led to these debts. And through this forum, which we have demonstrated that is a very powerful forum, we can get this information. So, all the professionals, or everyone that is in this forum that is concerned, needs to start doing their bit so that we can get this information. Let us start, probably, Eric, the next session we are having. Let us also have a status update of the matters that we want to progress insofar as this debt is concerned. Let us try to come up with a number of professionals, lawyers, accountants, auditors, so that we start compiling materials for purposes of getting these court orders. So that is what we need to do.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
As I conclude on the issue of the status of the revolution, 2 minutes, 1 minute,
yes.
Eric.
Yes.
As we continue championing on this issue of our revolution, we need to identify short-term and long-term goals. Short-term goals, as the president gears up towards appointing a new cabinet, we need to continue demanding that so many heads need to roll. We need to revamp our state corporations. We need to ensure that these people who are currently serving as state corporation heads, the CEOs, the board members, and the chairman, these people need to go. We need to have an overhaul. We need to start afresh. And as new people are brought into office, the first thing is we need to make public service, we need to decommercialize public service. We need to put up demands to the extent that if you're coming to serve members of the public, you should be paid according to your job group, based on your credentials. If you are an MP, if you are a cabinet secretary, If you are a CEO of a state corporation, if you are a chairman, if you are a board member, you should be paid your remuneration based on your job group. And job groups are defined by your level of education. That is the only way we are going to decommercialize public service. And as we demand dissolution of parliament, when new MPs will come in, we should also demand that they should be paid according to their level of education. Job groups. Let us have a scenario where if we have an MP who has not gone to university or doesn't have any certificate, you should be paid just like a janitor. So that you can, if you want more salary, you should be encouraged to go back to school. That is the only way we will be able to demotivate this thing, and slowly by slowly, we will get people who want to serve Kenyans. Thank you so much, Eric, and let's keep on engaging.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. As I hand over this chance to Jack, the young man called Chwani wants to tell us something. Can he tell us what he wants to tell us? Chwani? Chwani, can you start? Can you start, please? Chwani, can you start?
Hello.
Can you go on, Chwani? This is the last chance I'm giving you.
Hello, Nyakundi. Can I speak?
All right, consider that chance gone. Let me talk to Jack. Jack, you were saying something about fertilizer and the contaminated sugar and the cancer that we are going to experience in the next many years. What is this? Jack?
Experience in the next many. Yes, Eric, thank you so much.
Yeah, go on. I hope you've gotten your internet. We want to finish this very fast to give others an opportunity. You are talking about fertilizer and the contaminated sugar that Kenyans are taking. Kenyans, you are taking contaminated sugar. You are facing years and years of cancer.
That is true, Eric. Mithika Linturi brought in contaminated sugar, and it's like life is moving on as usual. We are having. Hello, can you hear me, Eric?
Yeah, go on, go on. Your internet is the problem, but go on.
We are going, very sorry we lost the people like Keuna. And in the near future, we are going to have a disaster because of the contaminated sugar that came in under Mithika Linturi and went to the market. And the president is laughing about it. Everything is normal. Life is going on in Kenya as usual. That one aside, we have a fertilizer scandal. A minister brings in fertilizer, and fertilizer that is not fertilizer, that is mixed with maram and cow dung. At the end of the day, the net effect is that the production, the food we are going to harvest this time, I was at home, you have a cob of maize that has hardly less than 10 maize tablets on it. It is a disaster. So when I realized this, I'm also a chairman of Public Investments Committee, Education and Governance. My work is to audit government, is to put government into proper checks and balances. I was so pained because I come from a farming region. Bomola is a farming region and largely Western Kenya. So when I prosecuted the removal of Mithika Linturi went
Cyprian, are you able to get him?
I can't get him.
Can you hear me?
Eric,
Your internet is the problem, sir.
Eric, can I have 2 minutes?
Let him finish.
As I finish, Eric, Mythical Induri must be prosecuted for the crimes he's had against the Kenyan people. And the
How are you
Kenyans
planning to do that, sir?
There is a case in court already by Law Society of Kenya, Law Society of Kenya, where we are enjoined, and it's coming up that he blatantly went against the constitution. Yes, we have a case. Kenyans have a case against him, and we must prosecute Mythical Induri, and we must move it to the logical conclusion. As I support the Gen Z for what they have done up to now, I want to vehemently oppose an idea that is coming up of dialogue. An idea, you see, what the political wing has not achieved for so long because of mixed interests, this generation has done it in less than weeks. Yesterday, I was with Raila Odinga, my party leader in Azimio. I was with Kalonzo Musyoka and all the Azimio brigade, and I told them, don't interfere with these young people. Let them finish that which they started. We cannot dialogue with William Ruto when now we are getting bodies, young people whose only problem and mistake was to go on streets and voice what
Yes,
Eric?
yes. Go on. We still hear you.
Can I speak now?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I want to be very quick. Now, just to tell you why I was saying people like William Ruto cannot solve this problem, I want to express the illegality that has done over the last 1 year. In his first budget, the development budget in the appropriations bill said that they are going to borrow foreign and external loans of 313 billion shillings. 313 billion shillings. Those are the only loans that have been approved on the budget of Kenya. And those have gone to development as per our laws. They are even listed what they are going for. In the last 1 year, that ended June 30th, his first budget, he ended up borrowing 1.
We can hear you. Go on.
And I repeat, they are in a conspiracy of a Ponzi scheme. And I again repeat, KCB, Co-op Bank, and Equity Bank, who are not involved in this malfeasance, and there are many others, get into those banks and deposit. These banks are part of our slavery and they must be cut off, completely cut off. And I want to say, in addition to this, that the only dialogue we should be talking about with William Samoei Ruto is a dialogue at the ballot box, no other. That is where we want to dialogue. And let me end with a famous quote I saw yesterday on James Smart's Twitter handle. And it was from a famous president from Burkina Faso called Thomas Sankara. He said, if we don't pay the debt, the lenders will not die. But if we pay it, we will die. That is the situation in Kenya. If we continue paying this, we will die. We must stop our death.
So before you go, Jimmy, now can you give us practical steps Just tell us, these are the practical steps that we need to embrace in order to avoid paying this odious debt. This is what we need to do. This is the next step. This is what we should do. This is what the citizen can do. And this is how we will stop the payment of this odious debt that you are not supposed to pay.
The only way, and I repeat, the only way, is to remove this regime from power. And any person who has been part of this malfeasance, especially over the last 12 or so years, must be removed from any decision-making position. That is the only way. The kind of money we are talking about is so humongous, so humongous. You are not going to sort it. And I appreciate the legal aspect that you can go to court, you can do this. I'm telling you, you're talking about phenomenal amounts of money. 50, 60 billion dollars that have been looted from us. And I'm telling you, they will buy nearly every institution. You must remove this regime from power. It must get out. It must have a conversation with us at the ballot box before 2027. It is the only way we are going to be able to do this. This is the only single way we are going to stop these bullets that are coming and killing our children. It must end. Our death must end. And it can only end with the perpetrators behind bars and them out of power.
All right. Before you, of course, you stay around so that you give us a parting shot. I'm looking for Nelson Amenya. He with the JKI hist. I've tried looking for him, sent him a link. Oh, he's here. Nelson, go on and tell us about the JKIA hist. What happened? Why was someone trying to lease or sell our airports? What was the reason? Why were they doing this? I'm sure you have the documents, you understand, because that is your area, you understand the nitty-gritties in that report and that proposal that you shared. Can you please tell us what happened?
Yes, thank you very much. We have had hitches and glitches here and there, but finally I'm here. So I just want to talk about this very shocking documents that I received, and they're being pushed from the highest offices, the ministry, state house, from KAA. So it's not as they can be able to trace them.
Nelson, are you still there?
Sorry. I think I was muted. So, I was saying, if you go to the PPP Act, the way we are supposed to do projects, public projects, number one, you're supposed to do bidding. And then number two, you can do direct procurement. And then number three, you can do public, it's called PIP, privately initiated proposal. And wait 1 second, I opened this act. I have it here. Okay, this is the act. So for anyone who's interested, it's the PPP Act of 2021. And I'm going to read section 22. Okay, so section 22 talks about ensuring that there is public participation on any PPP project, which wasn't done by Murkomen and the KAA team. And then so Murkomen was trying to bypass all this, and he went directly to the PIP. But if you look at the PPP Act, it recommends the bidding process. It recommends bidding process over any other way of PPP. But they did not want it to go the bidding process. However, there was companies already willing to bid for this listing of JKIA. and companies from Singapore, companies from Qatar. But Murkomen and his people, together with Kositani, they went ahead and picked a company called Adani Group from India. Adani Group from India is one of the most corrupt companies from India. It is so corrupt that there was a company from the US, it's called Hindenburg Research. Hindenburg Research did a research on them, and the revelations were super shocking. If you read these things, I'm just going to read a few of them about Adani Group. So Gautam Adani is Gautam Adani is the owner of Adani Group. So Gautam Adani's brother-in-law, Samia Vora, was accused by the DRI of being a ringleader of the same diamond trading scam and of repeatedly making false statements to regulators. He was subsequently promoted to executive director of the critical Adani Australia division. Gautam Adani's elder brother, Vinod Adani, has been described by media as an elusive figure. He has regularly been found at the center of government's investigations in Adani for his alleged role in managing a network of offshore entities used to facilitate fraud. Our research, which included downloading and cataloging the entire Mauritius corporate registry, has uncovered that Vinod Adani, through several close associates, manages a vast labyrinth of offshore shell entities. We have identified 38 Mauritius shell entities controlled by Vinod Adani or close associates. We have identified entities that are also surreptitiously controlled by Vinod Adani in Cyprus, the UAE, Singapore, and several Caribbean islands. Many of the Vinod Adani associated entities have no obvious signs of operations, including no reported employees, no independent addresses or phone numbers, and no meaningful online presence. Despite this, they have collectively moved billions of dollars into Indian Adani publicly listed and private entities, often without required disclosure of the related party nature of the deals. Okay, let me go back up. The Adani Group has previously been the focus of four major government fraud investigations, which have allegedly money laundering, theft of taxpayer funds, and corruption, totaling an estimated US $17 billion. Adani family members allegedly cooperated to create offshore shell entities in tax haven jurisdictions like Mauritius, the UAE, and Caribbean islands, generating forged import export documentation in an apparent effort to generate fake or illegitimate turnover to siphon money from the listed companies. Key listed Adani companies have also taken on substantial debt, including pledging shares of their. It goes on and on and on. They have over 300 corrupt cases, and at the moment, Adani Group is led by a man called Adani, and he's the third richest man in the world. He is second richest man in India. So corrupt is the man, and the companies that they have been named. They have a scandal called the short selling scandal, and it's the biggest corporate scandal in the world in history. So the reason why I'm reading all this is because this is the company that Murkomen saw fit to lease our JKIA for 30 good years. I was reading the proposal, the PIP proposal, and the reason why, they have to justify why they went with PIP, and yet in the PPP Act, there is four different ways you can procure, you can lease and do PPP partnerships. And the reason why they chose PIP is very lame. They say in this document that The reason they choose PIP is because if they do bidding, it will take 18 months. And in addition, after they have submitted the bidders, it will take an additional 4 to 6 months to go through and peruse through the bidding, the proposals, and then identify one person or one company to do this project and to lease out JKIA for the next 30 years. So the reason behind PIP is very lame and does not qualify why they chose it. And then number two, they did not do public participation. It's hidden. Everything is shredded in secrecy. Everything is being done in hush tones, and no one knows anything about this deal up to today. And my sources say that in about a month, this deal is going to be inked, and it will become, as you know, in Tanzania, they are already operating their ports. So they are hoping that even in Kenya, they will quietly enter and sign the deal without Kenyans knowing what's happening to the most precious international airport, JKIA. And we know JKIA is one of the busiest airports in Africa. And to make it even worse, JKIA in their report does not make losses. It actually makes profit. And they have actually said that JKIA is under they're underpricing their services. If you compare it with Addis Ababa is about 50 to 60% more expensive for carriers to run their operations in Addis Ababa, to land, all these landing fees. If you compare with JKIA, and they propose that they will double the prices in Kenya. If you double the prices of JKIA alone, last year they made about 13 million US dollars in terms of profit, and about 90 million US dollars in terms of revenues. So if you double, it means JKIA will be going towards 160 million in terms of revenues and about 26 million in terms of profits after you've deducted all the operations and everything. So this alone shows you that JKIA is not hijalemewa. It can still operate by itself, and we can still go on and do all these projects that we want to do, minus this very super corrupt company that Murkomen wants to impose on us without public participation and without a bidding process where other people who are more qualified and who are don't have integrity issues were ready to bid, but they were shortchanged by these corrupt people surrounding the deal, and they don't want people to know this. This is why we have to speak out about this. And then another point is that so they use an SPV model, which means that they will create a company in Kenya which will be running the operations, and then they went ahead and said they will create a consortium, a holding company. And a consortium means it's a few companies together, and a holding company means that their only work is to combine. So, like, for example, I used to work for a company that is a multinational. So, a multinational normally has a corporate head office, and the corporate head office is only a holding company that just consolidates the income only. There is nothing else they're doing. They don't do business, they don't run anything, they just consolidate their subsidiaries. So, they've created a holding company in UAE. UAE, as you've heard from the report, is a tax haven. This is how people evade tax. This is how people want to do the double Dutch sandwich. This is how people want to, like Murkomen, if they want to have the shares in companies, they will take it to the tax haven. And then from there, you cannot trace this money. So we are asking, why are they doing this kind of corporate structure where they have to go through a tax haven like Dubai? Why can't they just operate as a Adani from India directly to Kenya? And if you go through Dubai, it means that they are able to do something called transfer pricing. And this is how even European companies are stealing from Congo, from Botswana, from so many other different African countries. They steal from these countries through transfer pricing. So how it happens, if, for example, Adani says they have a patent, intellectual patent, or whatever patent they have, they will come and say that Adani is charging the Kenyan SPV for such and such a patent. So the income that we make as JKIA in Kenya will be deducted. You know, the way EBITDA works, they will deduct the patent as a cost. So by the time it reaches where we have to deduct tax, they have already deducted fake costs in terms of transfer pricing. And this is why they are doing this thing of we have to have a company in the UAE and then another company and another company. And if it spans towards different jurisdictions, it's harder for us to track our money. And so
Okay.
this is, yes, Amerix.
Yes. I want to interrupt you a bit. Francis
Uh-huh.
Francis has been saying a lot about JKIA and how JKIA has been limping, but we can hear from here that there is profit. Francis, what is your comment on this? Because Nelson says JKIA makes a lot of, or KAA makes a lot of profit. I heard there he said something like 13 million. Yet
US
we are being
dollars,
told
yes.
every time that it makes losses.
No.
Francis.
I think I was never about, I was mostly about Kenya Airways. I was mostly about the leases that were embarked on. In fact, the other day, somebody told me, I had a whistleblower telling me that there were two companies which were incorporated in the Cayman Islands and whatnot. One was, I think, called Kifaru, and another one called, uh, I'll remember the names shortly. But they bought some Embraer. Embraer is an airplane brand from Brazil, and they all of them are denoted with the code name FF, which was Fast Family, which are owned by Uhuru Kenyatta. And so Kenya Airways was compelled to pay those outlandish leases on behalf of Kenya Airways to aeroplanes owned by the Kenyatta family, who those code names are denoted with FF, which was the Embraer model. And so when Ruto came in, don't forget that when we are talking about odious debt, connect to Kenya Airways, because it's been one of the vessels which has been used to siphon taxpayers' money into private accounts. So when Ruto came in, where he was supposed to resolve those issues, then some of his cronies have gotten also other flights, so that we can continue funding Kenya Airways from taxpayers' money. We can continue giving them money under the guise of bailing out. And we've given them, first of all, don't forget, when it was being privatized in the 90s, we were told that by privatization, it will be self-sufficient, it will be profitable. And they came up with all these cock and bull stories just to sell the privatization agenda, when I was talking about Philip Ndegwa and whatnot. But if you look at the amount of money we have spent post privatization, it is close to 100 billion Kenya shillings. Now, that money, because first of all, I was talking about somebody, the CEO at the time was Titus Naikuni. Titus Naikuni, first of all, he belongs to committee prison. I don't understand why Titus Naikuni, if we are giving the same treatment to Farah Malim, he goes to Sarova and he's told he cannot stay there because of his toxic utterances, then Titus Naikuni should not be allowed to eat or drink anywhere, just like we want to do with David D because of his toxicity, defending war crimes. We should not be allowing these people to live amongst us. So Titus Naikuni, then came somebody called Bovin Gunze. Bovin Gunze was the one now, and now the chairmanship was Michael Joseph. Michael Joseph is a crook from South Africa. I don't know how he ended up here. I don't know how he was at one time the chairman of Safaricom and KQ and almost all the well-performing blue chip companies. But if you look, there is always a paper trail of corruption. Then Jeremy Mbuvin Gunze was was the CEO of Kenya Airways when they were being bailed out with billions of shillings of our taxpayers' money to pay for for leases or for aircraft owned by the Kenyatta family. And his brother, you can't make this stuff up, I kid you not. His brother, called Jeremy Ngunze, was the CEO of CBA Kenya chapter. So here we have two brothers working for the same criminal outfit, which is called the Kenyatta Family Criminal Enterprise, siphoning taxpayers' money, because now CBA is also amongst other banks which have profited from anti-competitive practices. They have been involved in intellectual property theft. They have been involved also in the debt issue. They appear in the debt register of the banks. I know we have spoken about Equity Bank. We have spoken about KCB. We have spoken about Coop Bank as the lead banks which have funded and fueled the government's appetite for debt. If you go there, you just want a million shilling overdraft, they will make you jump through hoops so that you can just access an OD of just a million shillings. But they give government carte blanche. They give them billions of shillings every year under the guise of domestic debt, because it's, as you heard, it's a Ponzi scheme.
Yes.
James Mwangi has become a dollar billionaire in this republic from buying bonds, from domestic debt,
Yes.
mopping up capital from the commercial market. We cannot get credit. Our biggest weakness is lack of credit when we are doing enterprise, and it's because all the money is going to government, because they have seen it is lucrative to loan to government, and then they can be able to sort themselves out there with their own commissions and whatnot. So Kenya Airports, whether it makes profit or not, first of all, don't forget that they terminated the Greenfield terminal, which was supposed to expand our capacity to make us a competitive hub in the region. Ethiopia has taken over us. First of all, they have more aircraft. In Kenya, we invested in these small planes called Embraer. Those Embraers, they are being taken to the key routes. They don't have good facilities if it's the business class, if it's the first class. And so we are underwriting the delusions, and we are underwriting the poor financial decisions of Kenya Airways based on our taxes. So as we take on the audit of the odious debt, we must also audit all the poor financial decisions that have been undertaken by the subsequent governments and individuals, with an objective of securing our money. We have to convert whatever private assets that they have taken from our country. We have to secure them. They have to be returned to the state. They don't have to be regrabbed by other people. They have to be regrabbed. Everything, even the MPs who have stolen CDF money, we have to now repossess that so that it goes into the to the state, because these were crimes which were committed, and we have to catch up with time that they have stolen from us. Thank you very much, Amerix.
Thank you. All right, Nelson, that was just a kicker on what you were saying. Maybe you can tell us in a few minutes, 2 minutes or 3, before we give Mercy Tarus and the rest. I can see Soko analyst here and the others. What can we do as a nation? You know, we talk too much, but in your opinion, because you are the professional here, what can we do? The lawyers are here to guide us on the legal journey. They can tell us what to do, but what are you going to do? Or what do you propose we do as a nation to ensure that such kind of heist and the people behind it are put in jail?
Thank you, Amerix. Can I just finish the 3-4 points I had, and then I can talk about what we should do?
In the interest of time, you have 3 minutes.
Okay. So I just wanted to also say that in this deal and proposal, they're trying to propose the government to concessions. And one of the concessions they want is that they want to operate in Kenya tax-free. They haven't mentioned the number of years. They just say they want to operate without paying corporate income tax for some years. And also, I don't know if this is standard in deals, but they're saying after the deal is over in 30 years, JKIA will have to pay for the capex, and also they will have to pay them for the capex, the money they used for the capex, which is 1.5 billion US dollars. And in my view, this 1.5 billion US dollars is the same amount of money we saw the Eurobond theft, the money that never arrived in Kenya. So it means that we are able to even finance this project on our own if we can take back the money that has been stolen. And they're also saying that after the 30 years is over, it's not over because they're asking for 18% equity in JKIA forever. So this means that basically they will own us forever, 18%. And this is totally unacceptable. And mind you, this company is the least performing company in India in terms of airport operations. And their biggest project is called Navi Mumbai. It's their only biggest project that you can compare to JKIA. The rest you cannot, they're too small. And even this Navi Mumbai is going to be finished in 2032. So we are entrusting people who have not even done a project of this magnitude in any of their projects to do it in Kenya. Like we are being used as scapegoats. So, and your question, Amerix, about what we need to do is it's very simple. We need to make a lot of noise, and also we need to start preparing to take over these positions. We cannot just be in the outside and every day, we keep complaining about bad governance. We need to be the leaders we want to see. We need to go into those leadership positions. You have seen in the UK, they were inaugurating very young Gen Z leaders into the House of Commons. So this needs to happen also in Kenya. But at the moment, we need to increase the pressure. We need to occupy JKIA. We need to occupy all those offices until these things stop happening. This is how revolutions happened in the past. I've spoken so much about the French Revolution. It was the young people who went and demanded, their rights and demanded for what was right, and it happened. It's not easy. It can take a lot of time. It can take shorter time, but if we keep pushing, it will happen. And also, I have spoken about critical junctures. How in history, when a revolution happens, you have two choices. You can either go the side of whatever people are talking about, like Sudan and the rest, or you can go the path of prosperity. And this is what happened in France. This is what happened in England during the Glorious Revolution. This is what happened in the US. This is what happened in many other prosperous nations. They were at this critical juncture, a revolution moment, and they chose to go the right direction. So this is the moment that we as the young people, we need to choose which direction to take our country, to either reclaim it and go and become prosperous and to say no to all these things that are happening now, or to turn our eye and lose the revolution and everything that Jimmy Wanjigi has just spoken about to continue. So the choice is ours, but everything is laid bare on us. And there is a saying, as I finish, that I quoted in one of the spaces. It says, in every generation, we have our mission. So every generation has a mission, and it's upon us either to fulfill the mission or to betray the mission. So it's upon us today as the young people to either fulfill our mission of economic liberation and independence in Kenya or to betray it.
Thank you very much, Nelson, for that in-depth. There was only one person who had a remaining issue, I think because of network. I'll give them a minute or two. Mercy Tarus. Mercy Tarus. Yeah, go on. Just unmute your mic and start talking so that we don't waste time.
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me now. I hope you can hear me now.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
We are giving you 2 minutes. You can switch on. You can switch off your space so that you don't listen to yourself again. That's why we are having this miscommunication.
We are going to talk about the fertilizer scandal and bad seeds. What most